Hi, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead, and I'm back with a new story. So we're going to read Walt Disney's The City Chipmunk and The Country Chipmunk. This looks like a good one. Once upon a time, there was a chipmunk who lived in a bustling city. He decided to pay a visit to his friend in the country. So he packed up a few things and set off on the long journey. And there's a nice picture. Said the city chipmunk, taking a deep breath. He left the outskirts of the city behind him and strolled along a country road. What clean, fresh air! What beautiful trees! It must be so nice to live in the country. Before long, the city chipmunk arrived at the country chipmunk's house. It was tucked away in a grove of oak trees in the middle of a large forest. "Welcome!" exclaimed the country chipmunk, who was very pleased by the surprise visit. Come in. You must be hungry. I'll fix you a proper country supper." As it happened, the city chipmunk was a bit hungry and tired after his long trip from the city. So he was quite happy to follow his friend inside and take a seat in the cozy armchair by the fireplace. Meanwhile, the country chipmunk hurried in the kitchen and began preparing a feast. Here they are. "Come and get it," the country chipmunk announced when all the food had been prepared. The city chipmunk hurried to the table, eager to see what sort of delicious treats awaited him. The country chipmunk brought one steaming plate after another into the dining room. "Voila," said the country chipmunk, pointing to one dish. "My specialty, toasted acorns. And here," he said, whisking the cover off another, "toasted chestnuts. And here's every country chipmunk's favorite, toasted seeds." The city chipmunk smiled politely at his host. He said, trying to look excited. "Everything looks delicious." But in truth, the city chipmunk was disappointed. At home in the city, he had much fancier foods to choose from. The city chipmunk wondered, didn't the country chipmunk have anything more exciting to eat than nuts and seeds? See some things he was used to. "Oh," added the country chipmunk, "I almost forgot." He rushed into the kitchen and brought out one more dish. For dessert, wild blueberries. Well, thought the city chipmunk, they looked very tasty, but they seemed so plain. Maybe he wanted them in a pie. The city chipmunk politely ate all the food put in front of him and complimented his friend on his excellent cooking. But finally, at the end of their meal, the city chipmunk turned to his host and asked the question that was on his mind. "Don't you ever get tired of eating such plain and simple foods all the time?" asked the city chipmunk. Country Chipmunk gave him a puzzled look. "What do you mean?" he asked. "What else is there?" "What else is there?" replied the city chipmunk in disbelief. And just then he had an idea. He invited the country chipmunk to go back to the city with him. When the country chipmunk accepted, the city chipmunk decided that he would make sure his friend had the opportunity to sample all the delicious delicacies that city living had to offer. And so the very next morning, right after breakfast of acorn cereal, the city chipmunk and the country chipmunk set off together on a long journey to the city. By lunchtime, they had reached the city chipmunk's home, which was located in a tree that stood in the backyard of a large house. "Wow!" cried the country chipmunk. "So much hustle and bustle! How exciting it must be to live in the city!" He was even more impressed when, after following the city chipmunk down the tree, across the yard, and into the house through the open window, he saw the city chipmunk's pantry. It was filled with cheeses, jams, honey, peanut butter, cookies, candies, cakes, and a variety of other delicious and fancy treats. They climbed up in the pantry, and the city chipmunk offered his friend a taste of the various fruit jams. "Which do you like best?" asked the city chipmunk. "Blueberry, strawberry, peach?" Said the country chipmunk. "They are all delicious." On another shelf, the city chipmunk opened 2 cookie jars and handed the country chipmunk a cookie from each. "This one is chocolate chip," said the city chipmunk, "and this one is oatmeal raisin. What do you think?" "Fantastic," said the country chipmunk. "I've never tasted anything so wonderful." Finally, the city chipmunk scampered over to a big container of honey. The country chipmunk followed, and together they managed to fill their tummies with its super sweet, golden, ooey gooey goodness. "Yummy," said the country chipmunk. "You are the luckiest chipmunk alive." But no sooner were the words out of the country chipmunk's mouth than the owner of that very big house came storming angrily into the kitchen. "That rotten chipmunk again!" the owner shouted as he chased the chipmunks from the pantry. "How dare you raid my pantry?" he screamed as he chased them out through the open window and across the backyard. Luckily, the chipmunks just managed to escape the angry owner by scampering up the tree and into the city chipmunk's house. So first, this is what was happening. There you go. And then this happened. They had been inside not 3 seconds when the country chipmunk gathered his things and said, "Well, thanks so much for everything, but I must be getting home now." "What?" replied the city chipmunk. "But you just got here. And what about the delicious food? Didn't you like it?" "Oh, yes, I did," replied the country chipmunk. "But frankly, I'd rather eat my simple food in peace than to have to face that angry fellow in order to get my meals, no matter how fancy they may be." And so the country chipmunk went back to the country, and the city chipmunk stayed in the city, and each was quite content, that means satisfied, with their own situation. Well, would you rather have simple food in peace, or would you rather have fancy treats with someone yelling at you? Something to think about there. Well, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I want to say I love you. I really do. And I hope you enjoyed this story. I thought it was a pretty good one. Well, have a good day or night whenever you're watching this. Remember, God loves you forever. All right, good night.